So the thing that I tell people all the time, like you get what you tolerate. That's true in so many organizations, in teams. And because everybody just does whatever the heck they want, and there's no structure and there's no like core values, there's no things that are tying them together, there's no standard, right? And without standards, then how do you hold people to it?
I'm certainly glad that you're doing this stuff. And speaking of like doing it anyway, right? This is like, you called me you shot me a long text and I was like, oh, this guy has something to say. All right. And they're like swimming clubs and I'm like, oh, we got a book. And honestly, man, I actually had a pretty good night of golf because I was excited. I was excited that you were excited about, all these things that we've been talking about.
Yeah. It's funny because like it was only like less than a month ago we first started talking. I mean, obviously we talk a long time. Like we'll go every time we make time to get dinner or something. But then when you mentioned it, you're just like, hey, yeah, we should do a podcast. I've been thinking about doing a podcast for years. It's just one of those things that it's going to take time. It's going to take energy. Anytime you say yes to something, there's so many other like downstream decisions that come with that. And you have to say no to other things and all that stuff. Right. But when you said it, it just kind of was like this, like, oh yeah, why not? That was the time. And so then as I got thinking, and then that's when, I shot that long text. I was like, all right, here's the million ideas I have. We might do half of them. We might do, and we'll see how it goes. But I guess you could say, vein too, like the doing anyway, you just drove all night last night. Oh yeah. And
good old Circle, Montana.
The big city. Yeah. And then for me just to even just call you and say, hey man, we're going to do stuff today. And I can kind of hear it in your voice. You're like, oh man, like, we both only have a couple hours today before we got to take off. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's like a mindset thing or where they come from for you.
Well, some of it is just the accountability, especially when we do something new. You have to put your foot down and start doing it, or because it's in those beginning stages, and then also towards the end is when things kind of start to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
The good stuff's kind of find its groove in the middle.
Yeah.
And so, I can't like derail it by my own choosing, because I'm tired and I may have some brain fog. My back hurts. I like it. All those are valid excuses, but at the end of the day, we said we were going to do some podcasts and do the reps. I think that's probably the other thing too that was on my mind. Like, you just got to get the reps in. Yeah. It's going to be like this. If it's not a long drive, it's going to be, like I got to take my kids somewhere and do something. My wife asks me to do something or wait. Yeah. Like, I think it helps to kind of just have that, again, that accountability piece, right? That we said we were going to do it. Yeah. I said that I was going to do it. And then I'm glad that you called because I was kind of in my head. I was like laying on the couch. I was like, oh gosh. And then as I was thinking about it, boom, there's the phone call. And I'm like,
yep, here we go.
These are going to be accountable to these.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because it's like, it's a season too, right? I don't think it's going to be like forever that we're going to be like recording multiple podcasts in a day and putting this whole stream together. But it's kind of like, we just do it anyway and make it happen. So a friend of mine, Ed Ocam, so he's the CEO of the cruising company. And he wanted to co-author this book with a gal. She's like the #1 sales rep for Amazon Web Services. And they were trying to figure out a time to make it happen. She's pretty busy, right? And he's pretty busy. And so they figured the only time that they could do it where they wouldn't be interrupted, wouldn't be distracted, things like that, was 4 a.m. And so they literally like set up several meetings. It was 4 to 6 a.m. where that was their time to like get up and do it. And they did it very interesting because they did it more of a conversation like a podcast, but turned it into book form because that's, kind of the medium that is most widely distributed in those circles for them anyway. So it's kind of fun, like just doing it. Weirdly enough, I actually had a gal this morning I was on a phone call with, and she's over in North Carolina. And she is wanting to she's been in corporate world for a long time, really good at systems and stuff. And she is wanting to kind of branch out and do her own thing, and consulting or coaching or whatever. And so, mutual friend got us connected because said, "Oh, you should talk to Jason." And so as we were talking, she was just asking really good questions about, what about like certifications? What things do I need? Because you can drown in certifications if you want. I mean, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to get certified by everybody.
Right.
And after she asked that question, I said, well, John Maxwell didn't go through any certification programs. Noah, Anita did, Patrick Lencioni, and Anita did. All these people that have been now.
Yeah.
I said, so for me, it was less about that because I don't really have any certifications. It was just, but I think it speaks to the, you just do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Instead of you can get paralyzed by overthinking stuff. So easy.
Yeah.
Instead of just go.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I watched a like a short, like Tiger Woods, reel the other day about overthinking in the game of golf.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an overthinker in golf. Like, I just want to whack the ball and see how hard it goes and hopefully it's accurate.
Yeah.
But then you have other guys that are like, is my stance in the right way? Do I got a triangle here? Like the videos explaining that.
Yeah.
For those of you who think you overthink, here's Tiger Woods going through everything like a professional golfer goes through.
Yeah.
Mentally. But I also think that, those are the things that people don't see, right?
Yeah.
They don't see, they talk about it, but most of the time they don't see the hundreds of hours that he spends, not just physically going through something, right? Golf swing, hips forward, all that stuff. But also it becomes like, you're not even, it's automatic, right? That's why we're talking about just do it anyways. That could be like the start of, getting those good habits in place. Right. And so I thought it's interesting how, like you said, we can overthink it and never get started. And I think for the longest time, right? We talked about this in our last podcast about our history. And when we were in Calgary, that was what, 7?
Oh, that was 2016. It was 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Cool. I'm not good with numbers. Not you. So so I have to rely on you about some of those things. But you know what I mean? We talked about how we can extend our reach and extend our not that we have 2-hour homes. I'm a believer in that, everybody has a common, a golden way that we all experience and that we all can help each other on when we're feeling a certain way or going through certain circumstances that, if any, but I guess that's maybe another question I wanted to ask too about these ideas have been 9 years in the making, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
What is it that gets us to this point here? That we're doing podcasts, we got lights and stuff, and you know what I mean? How did we get to this point? What is the spark to actually step out and do it?
Yeah. That's a good question. It was you. And you're just like, let's do a podcast. I was like, yeah. A part of it for me is
when I said that, what was going on in your mind?
Well, so honestly, I've been thinking about this idea of a podcast for, like I said, I think back to 2018. So funny enough, way back in the day, when I was a youth pastor, I started this thing I called it Friday Night Focus, and it was essentially a live audience podcast that I did before pre-YouTube. No, YouTube existed, but it wasn't right. It was no monetizing. There was no commercials on it, right? Old YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of played with videos and posted stuff and things like that, but it wasn't anything. But it was really fun because I got to, and it's actually kind of more of a late night show too, because we had different bands come in and play, and we interview them, and we interview people subject matter experts on different things, and it was pretty cool. So that's always been fun, right? That was always like this really fun thing to do. And then podcasting has obviously taken off. And it seems like, a friend of mine was joking. He's like, yeah, I'm a guy in my mid 40s and I'm white. So of course I have a podcast. It's just, so it's not like, a big for fame or anything like that. But I think for me, it's more like I'm really interested in people. And so it's amazing how many conversations I have, just even like the conversation I had today. Somebody I didn't know. Unfortunately, she, probably I had 30 minutes, but there's so many really cool conversations I have with people. I mean, just have like this connection and I just get to like understand their life and things like that. It's like, man, why not open that up to the world? Like, honestly, like the most impactful podcasts that I've ever seen are really that, right? So like understanding somebody's life and background, because again, if they're being interviewed on podcasts, it's not because they just sit on their couch and eat Doritos all the time, right? They've done something of significance that warrants the relationship with the interviewer or whatever, right? So for me, like the spark when you were just like, hey, we should do a podcast, it was, okay, well, if Ray's gonna do it with me, let's just go. I don't know. Just because it's way more fun to do it with somebody, right? Than it is just to do it by yourself. So I could sit, at my home office and crank out videos. It's not terribly fun. But having a conversation like this is way more fun. Like
It is.
feed off each other and collaborate. And then it's like energy that you give and I give, and it, becomes its own thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember, when I kind of just blurted that out, it goes back to when we were, no, man, I can still remember, I don't remember all the words that we said, but I just remember how I felt when our drive to Calgary and back, and like our experience there. That was like a big turning point. Not just the growth that we were intentional before we went there, but it like a lot of things. It was almost like an unveiling of there's a different level that I need to get to, right? And because a lot of the kind of the topics that we talked about was pushing ourselves, right? And like to be better dads, to be better husbands, to be better friends, whatever it was, right? Like, and I remember that, like from that, and then we had these consequent like conversations the rest of the 9 years. We would always kind of go like, man, we should have like had something recording.
For sure. Yeah, we should have had something recording. Maybe, I don't know.
But I think that like, it was pretty raw. And of course, there were probably some personal things in there, but at the same time, like that's what I mean though. There was like a lot of authenticity and some vulnerability involved in those conversations that made us like take it up a notch in what we were doing. I think also at the same time the stuff that I struggled with was that like it would motivate me, but that there was like I couldn't sustain it.
What do you mean?
Like same thing like as iron sharpens iron, right? Or like when we're in when you put a poker in a fire, like when you remove it, it starts to kind of like die down. That's kind of how I felt. Like whenever you and I would get in these conversations, I get thrown back in the fire, I get red hot, and then like, I don't know. I just felt like I didn't take the steps to find like associations or people that were kind of on the same, who like same journey of wanting to like level up in life. Not to say anything bad about anybody, but it just felt like, a lot of times, like it was just water cooler talk and like, fantasy football or, talking about kids. I mean, I experienced that when I went to Circle a little bit, right? With family members. Like I found myself just, I don't know. First of all, I probably like upped the diversity. 100%.
Yeah,
I was 100%.
That's awesome.
Not that I care or anything, but it's you feel it though. You just, we're just a different. I'm in a different zone. I might as well have been in like Willy Wonka's house. Like it's different. uh, but right, like just finding like even there, like I know how to like do conversations, but it's sometimes you just like I struggle sometimes, and but I did it anyway.
It's so funny because we've been talking about this a lot about I think because of the environment, and I tell people like I was super shy and then got over it, learned how to make a friend, and also you seem more naturally like okay with being with people, which I was not. But it's amazing to me, like even today, like how socially inept people are, because I don't think people are taught how to do that, right? Because you read, it's been around a lot, like How to Win Friends, Influence People, books like that.
Yeah.
And you realize, the type of conversation needs to be about the other person. What are they interested in? Like, how do they tip? And then people leave those conversations like, oh my gosh, Ray was amazing. That was an amazing conversation. 5 minutes of the hour. You know what I'm saying? And people don't know how to necessarily consider with that. So I don't know. It's interesting, but it is amazing because I think it's also, there's a level of the complacency thing, right? I can only talk water cooler talk for so long before I kind of run out. I can, we were at my son's baseball game kind of end of the year thing, and there was another dad there that I know and I've known and stuff. And we started talking, and I was asking about, and he was telling me about, this cool vacation that they went on to Nebraska and different things they were doing. And I was doing my very best to just like stay in it, right? Because you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know what that is, the complacency. Because I think you're right. Like, I need other people in my life to help me level up and continue to remind me, like, no, you are not made for this. You were made for this.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to always settle, right? That's always the default mode. The default mode is always to just settle and have people around you. But when you're, I don't know, pushful, intentional, and you're like, okay, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why I was excited when you're like, hey, you go vodka. So let's do it. Because then it's, we're going to make the time. We're going to set some intention about it. We're going to make it happen. And it's not going to be convenient. It's going to be pretty. It's going to be messy and anything else. But
well, we when it comes to connecting with others, we had again that time when we were intentional about growth. That was part of it.
Oh yeah,
but learning how to like feel awkward in those moments and what to say. And yet we had like some scripts about it, like what's your family, what's your occupation, what's your recreational things that you like to do. But what I found that the difference between that there was like there's like a purpose in the conversation that I'm getting into, right? And it didn't feel it did feel like a chore when I did it. And I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. There's sometimes where it's just like,
I think the chore for me was like, okay, I got to get out of my house to go talk to somebody.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's just do it.
Yeah. And be in an environment where there's people out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that was something that it just like conversations felt different to me because I don't know. Maybe it was something because there was something I wanted to give people, right? Because that was a thought process in that growth period was like, we got something like here that, it could be good for both of us kind of deal. You know what I mean? I wish like, how do I get that back? Right. And again, I guess we're going back to like, do it anyways. I think that's kind of where it starts, right? You don't get to experience those things if you don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't put your shoes on, the keys in the car, go down somewhere where there's people. I kind of miss that intentionality about just learning how to connect with people properly and like experiencing your own joy in doing it.
I am these days just because part of it kind of the same way. It's like,
well, that's where we get to, right?
Yeah.
We do it, and then like somewhere in the mix, we get in our own heads. At least that's how I feel sometimes. Like, then I go, oh gosh, this is going to take some energy. Where are we going? I'm just spinning around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, nothing afterwards.
Sure. But yeah. And I think because I was telling you, it was probably 6 months ago, that for me in my life, and I was telling a story about, on that, the last podcast about my friend Andrew falling off the cliff and how we're still in touch. And every time we get together, right? Because, there was a purpose and a purposefulness of the relationship that we had together. Like we were on point doing something together that was hard. And we, there's some bond that forms there that, we don't see each other for years, and then we hang out again and we pick right back up where we were. Right. Or same with like when I was in a punk rock band, I see my friend Kevin, who we played in the band together, and immediately we're right back to like who we were, where we were, right? And the same with you. Like we hang out together, and even if we haven't seen each other for 6 months or a year or whatever, then it's just like, boom, we just pick right back up kind of where we were. And so we catch up and things like that. But, because the tightest relationships that I have are those that there was actually an intention and purposefulness about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm guessing you're probably saying like football. You can probably keep touch with the guys that you play football with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably similar, right? You have this shared experience and that had purpose to it. It wasn't just, we were kind of part of the same rough association. Yeah. I mean, which is interesting because even like at work, I've got people that I worked with, and you'd think that would be like the purposefulness, but not really. I don't have any, they're not bad people. Not all bad people. But it didn't have that same like purposefulness of like intention to growth. Yeah. So I'm with you. Like that's the thing. I'm like, man, how do you recreate that? Like, how do you do that? Right. Go away and build, because building relationships is hard. It's especially deeper relationships. Right.
Yeah. It's hard when you're, in your 40s. And
yeah.
Like you got stuff going, but I like how you hit the point where, it's easier to have conversations when you're kind of going in the same direction.
Yeah.
And, or you're creating something just like kind of what we're doing. Yeah. It's easier to have this conversation because like our purpose is we want to like reach out and we want to influence. And,
yeah.
Right. And share some good stuff. And so, yeah, I was, going back to like doing it now, like do it anyways.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to like temper that with, well, why are you doing it anyways?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Because, right, if I do it anyways and I'm spinning like a top.
Yeah.
That sounds frustrating to me.
It's funny because Anna yesterday, she asked me, she said, she always has these fun questions. And she said, what do you think the aura is that you put off? I mean, she's like, like you're just in a park or you or something, like, what is the aura that you put off? I said, I don't know. I think the aura that I put off is probably friendly, but not like aloof, but just, I don't know, disinterested. And I was like, I don't know if I like that, but because I also know it's going to take energy. Right? I engage with somebody in the cereal aisle. It's going to take energy. Now, does it mean that it's a bad thing? Not necessarily, but I also know that I've got a lot of intentional conversations and a lot of regret coaching and consulting. And like, I'm going to be in with a team that's going to be intense. And there's a lot of emotion that comes with that. Yeah. There's a lot of that is expended, put on the field. And so it's almost like, is it worth my time? And that almost sounds bad.
Selfish,
yeah,
self-centered. That's why I brought that up. Yeah. I was like, it turns sometimes in conversations.
But you're right. But as soon as it's like, okay, like get out of your own head and then engage, there's an automatic like, it actually does feed you, right? It does because it's taking your eyes off yourself and you're putting on somebody else, and that's, I think it's so funny, like because I get to travel. It's kind of the same way. Like honestly, if I just had a podcast where I'm sitting next to somebody on the plane. And I just get in the conversation. Man, there's just fascinating people that I've sat next to. And in the same way, there's sometimes that like, dude, I'm going to watch a movie. Like I am spent, put my headphones on. And I think that's okay too, right? But, so you got to be aware of stuff. I think another vein of like to do it anyway is, and there's something that you have to do. Oh, okay. You put it off. Or
he's about to preach right now.
Yeah. or or it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing, my wife gives me all these fun ideas, and she's like, you have this ability to make the mundane fun and the suck like have life. Because it's like, well, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You got to do it anyway. Like you got to dig the ditch. You got to do the thing, whatever the thing is.
Right.
So you might as well have a good attitude about it.
Nice.
So have fun. So
that's a pretty good compliment, man.
yeah, that was a nice compliment.
I would agree.
Making the mundane fun.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I'm going to be, so my son, your wife told you all that? And that's like 3-minute conversation?
which one?
The one before we got on the podcast.
Oh, no. She's got a lot. I did show her the list when we were driving over to Montana, and she's like, "Oh man, I got a lot for you guys to talk about." I was like, "Oh, good." Oh, she knows me well. Obviously, she knows you well. So
Yeah.
this would be fascinating to hear you guys. Like
The horror stuff and like, what do you give off?
yeah,
that's cool. I was gonna say, well, before that, before I go into my story about my son, I was walking here, finding a parking spot over there.
Yeah.
And I met one of my students.
Oh, right on.
And here's the thing, right? Like my attitude was like, God, I found space. Let me get there. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be late. And here comes the kid, and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Sebastian," and like my attitude changed, just like,
oh man, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like and it just gave me that moment to take my eyes off myself and go, "Hey, buddy," and like connect for a second, right? And I didn't care if I was going to be late at that point. Yeah, I mean, I did care, but like, you know what I mean? I can let you know what was going on.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go in this whole like, I just came back from Oregon and we did all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, that sounds fun, man. Yeah. So like, so I'm glad that God put those little serendipities along the way to where you're like, oh, all right, quit.
Yeah,
quit being a grouch. It's not that bad. Right. So anyways, we're talking about like, what do you give off and like doing things anyways. So my son and I have been talking for a while. He's been injured and like I'm volunteer coaching for his high school team, and like part of like how I'm going to like give my own presence or aura is just kind of being there and getting to know a lot of the players, getting to know the coaching staff. I'm the oldest out of the whole coaching staff by about 20 years, dude. Like that feels, I'm like, whoa. Oh, well, actually me and another guy, Kevin, and him and I are pretty good friends because we do wrestling as well too.
Oh, okay.
But my son and I have been talking about like doing extra like D-line work, but we've never gotten off the ground either because he's injured, or like I just haven't found the time to go like do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so my son texts me as we were driving, and he is just like, so everybody wants to do some drills with you, Dad. And I'm like, well, like I can't do it right now. Like we'll figure it out. I said, oh yeah, they're not going to do anything unless you're there. And I was like, and I felt like a little bit of pressure, right? Like, okay, now I gotta do some, like, I gotta figure out the drills that I want to do. But there's gotta be like an establishment of like I guess my presence of what I think of the team. I love going into like whenever I'm coaching and I start to see things develop. Cause I coached last year for small fry, and I can look kids in the eyes and say like, this is the best D line in this whole small fry. Yeah. I could say that without even batting an eye. And like kids, they rise up to it. Right. And I believe that wholeheartedly with what's going to go on. But I think like I'm a little I'm a little like nervous in a sense too, because like these are some high school kids that now they're reaching out and they're like, like, we want to do this and we're not going to do this without your dad. And it's like, yeah, I was just going to wing it, but I'm not going to wing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where I was going with that.
When do you start?
We'll start next week.
Huh?
Yeah. Because everybody's off on Friday. So we'll start it next week. That for sure. That's cool. So I'm gonna get it all tightened up and yeah. And a lot of it is just all fundamentals, and I know the things that we got to shore up as a defense. Just some of those things.
Yeah, that's so fun.
I'm gonna get off my football.
I tell people the story all the time when I remember when we were I think we were in Spokane or somewhere together. I'm sure we drank it. And we were just getting to know each other at that point. And I was like, so did you play in football stuff? You're like, oh yeah, D-line. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't even know how I said it or what I said, but basically I was like, well, there's no like strategy to defense. And you were like, so offended. You're like, bro. So for the next like 3 hours, you started explaining like defensive schemes and all. Like I'm a fan of the game, like growing up, but when you're just watching professional football, it looks like everything is so tight, right? It's been so rehearsed and there's so many thousands of hours that each player has put it, right? It's as close to perfection as it can be.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like the strategy, right? It just looks like big guys tackle each other, right? So it's so funny. When I tell people that actually play football, because I did not, obviously. I play soccer. And so it works well for me when I travel internationally. That's a sport I can really do.
That's the other football.
Yeah. And what are the other things that I mean, like, you feel like you need to do it anyway, and like the hard stuff? But I guess one for me, as I'm thinking about that, is like in business consulting. I come back about every quarter and I work with teams. At the conversation, so it actually it's from Jim Collins. He wrote a book called Good to Great. And he talks about getting the right people on the bus, right? The right person. And then in an organization, you get them in the right seat. And John Maxwell has a whole thing on, but basically the same thing, right? Get the right person in the right seat, and then you can multiply to do some amazing thing. If you get the wrong person on the bus, but they're in the right seat, and like that just is frustrating because they're sucking the soul out of the culture, right? But if you get the right person and they're great to be around, and they're in the wrong seat, like they just suck at their job, this is confusing. There's so many times you see that in organizations where it's like, obviously the wrong person, wrong seat, like fire them tomorrow. But it's amazing because every time I come into a quarterly meeting with a team, that question is always there. I make it kind of a mandatory question, like, okay, do we have any RPRS? Do we have any right person, right seat issues within the team right now? And this one team that I work with, every time I'm here in Montana, they've got a handful. I think when I first started working with them, it was like, quite honestly, like close to half the team. was just bad. And it's gotten better, and it's gotten better, and it's gotten better, and it's gotten better.
Did the question come from a good place though? Like when they're asking you questions, or is it just asking questions to ask questions?
No, that's a question that I ask.
Oh no, from the, like when you said that they have a plate full of stuff, but like to come back to you with.
Oh, wait.
Are they like bringing this stuff up to you because it's because they're wanting to like complain, or is it like a good place?
No, it's from because here's the thing, like, because I get to, the thing we're talking about, one of the last podcasts about not being an expert, but having experience, right? Yeah. And so I have the lens to see lots of companies and lots of different organizations and ways that people do stuff. And so because I'm the one that's asking the question, like, do you have the right person? And then how do we evaluate that? So it's a tool I call a culture check. And here's how you're evaluating your people. You're saying, okay, is this the right person based on their core values, right? Core values of the company. And are they in the right seat? And that should be based on the position. Because just because somebody is good at this position doesn't mean they're good at this position, right? And so you got to evaluate both things. But when I go, and the reason that I ask that question every time I'm in a company is because when you're like in the thick of it, it's hard to pull yourself out of it and just get yourself enough distance, above the fray to be more objective about what's going on. Because typically when I see organizations, let's say if it's the wrong person, meaning they're just not a core value fit, terrible attitude, showing up late, causing disruptions, right? All the stuff. When you have that person and they might be good at their job, it is hurting the culture of the team, like more than you realize. But people tolerate it because they're like, yeah, but they're, we need them, or they're good at the job or whatever. It's like, yeah, but it's good. So the thing that I tell people all the time, like you get what you tolerate. And so if you're highly tolerant to people, like, you're like, okay, we're just everybody can do whatever the heck they want. Right. Or like in Judges, it talks about it was chaos because everyone did what was right in their own eyes. And that's true in so many organizations, in teams. And because everybody just does whatever the heck they want, and there's no structure and there's no like core values, there's no things that are tying them together. There's no standard, right? And without standards, then how do you hold people to it, right? There's no standard to hold them to. So when I come in, I say, okay, and I ask the question, do you have RPRS issues? Like, is this the right person, right seat? If it's a wrong person, right, they're not a core values fit, let's figure that out real quick and let's work them out of the organization because it's likely that they would fit somewhere else. Or maybe they're just crabbing and they just need to like get their butt kicked, but it could be that, you're not a core value fit, So for example, there's a lot of people, in one of our companies back in Oregon, a lot of the core values have to do with like going the extra mile and taking ownership, and doing hard things. If somebody wants to show up and they just kind of want to coast, and they just kind of want to use this as like clock in, clock out, they'll retire there. It's probably not going to fit for them. Yeah. Because we value entrepreneurship and being edgy and pushing the envelope. Sure. That makes sense?
Going there, yeah.
So that's the heart, if you will, like coming in. And it's funny because when people meet me, they're like, man, you're a really nice guy. I can get one of the other podcasts. Like the worst thing about owning a company is firing people, in my opinion. Right? It's just probably how I'm wired. Some people might like it, but it's hard for me to fire people. But you think that when I'm at those meetings, because I have a different level of objection, right? I'm at a different objective. I can see the things that they can't see, right? I can see their blind spots. And so when everybody's complaining about this person, like, oh man, he did this. It's like, okay. And because he's doing this, and this, guess what? So you've got we'll call him the D player, right? He's got a bad attitude. He's not really being helpful. He's not that great at his job. You're tolerating him. But then you got A players that might be younger. And who are they watching? Well, they're watching that guy because he has more experience. So then they're watching that guy with more experience. And what do they pick up? Well, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to lose that kid. Let's see, he's probably an A player. Yeah. Right. But A players don't want to hang out with a bunch of D players that are not doing anything. Right. Right. Or even worse, in my opinion, is that A player says, I guess this is just what we do, and like degrades themselves, right, to become this person. So that's why I don't tolerate bad attitude. So anyway, so when I was with this company yesterday, that was the question several times. Okay, who's the person? What's the issue? You scope it all out. It's like, okay, so when do you find them? And it's funny because with this specific team, every time I'm here, they lose 2 or 3 people because I'm like, you can get rid of these guys. Like, but the problem they have is their hiring process, right? They're not onboarding people.
That's what I was saying.
So that's the actual root issue. Like, yes, you got to get rid of the rock, but you got to stop doing this to yourself. But then the worst people for me to fire is they're a core values fit, right? They're a great person to be around, great attitude, but they just aren't good at the job. Right. And you don't have a position on the bus or the team for them to fit. Those are the worst because it's not that they don't want to be there. It's not that they don't have a good attitude. It's not that they're like really like genuinely giving their best. It's just like, okay, you just don't have the ability to do the job.
You said that to their faces?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That is hard.
It's really hard. Yeah. I was explaining this whole thing to somebody, and Peyton was overhearing, my 12-year-old was overhearing this conversation. And I said, yeah. I said, it's worst part of the job is firing people. He goes, yeah, but you do it nice, right, Dad? I goes, and I said, yeah, I do it nice. And I've got a whole process I teach people, like, it's not a surprise when somebody gets let go. Sure. And I said, yeah, I do it nice. And then I thought about it. And I was like, man, every person that I fired for either reason, with one exception, is giving me a hug. Right at the door.
Wow. That's pretty good, man.
Interesting. And I think it's because, again, it's like really taking into the human element and understanding like, and this sucks. I really feel for you.
Mm-hmm.
So as a human, right, gotta take the boss hat off for a second. Like, find a better position for you.
Yeah.
Different team to be a part of. I'm pretty well connected. Some people have taken me up on that. And I've been able to help like position them in different companies or where they are doing well. Sometimes they just need to come into Jesus mode. They need to like live in the consequence for a little while. Yeah. No idea how we got on that.
No, like,
yeah,
that we were just talking about.
But again, yeah, so it was the do it and do it anyway. Because firing is one of those hard things. It's like, I got to do it anyway.
Right.
So like, yes. And now, when you bring it up to a leadership team and you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to let this guy go on Friday. Well, you can't not now, right? So now you have this whole leadership team. It's like, hey, the expectation is this guy's not going to do this on Friday. So hard stuff. Now, do that. I've always, you can't do that in school. So you can't fire students. But what about the culture of like the school? Obviously, I don't know. I work with small businesses and there's not unions. I've never worked with a company that has a union or anything like that. And I know that's got a different layer and there's a different level. But yeah, it's like, what are I guess in world and the arenas you are traveling these days, like what are those hard things to do that you're finding like, man, I wish teachers would just do this hard thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can bring that to like this, like athletic world too.
Yeah.
I was coaching last year and I had a kid that, kind of was in and out of practices and, not very consistent. And I had the grandpa come to me and say, how come he's not playing? And I was like, well, one thing, like he's not showing up. And, like another thing is that he's lacking the ability to do some of the things that we're asking him to do. And the grandpa looks at me and he goes, so you're saying my grandson's not good enough to play? And I looked at him in the eye and said, no. And that's
not at this level.
Right. And it's hard because it's like small fry.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want your grandson to get out there and get hurt either. Right. But then that was what I told him after this, right? That's the human part of bringing it around, taking the coach's hat off and saying, hey, listen, like there's some big boys. And if he's not going to practice it, like, and he's just jumping in, he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for your kid. More than like, that's really the big reason why I don't want him out there.
Yeah. That's really good.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess the grandpa kind of, he may have taken it hard or not, but
yeah.
But I've been doing this for a while. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because, I guess you got a much better perspective than me, but like even with Peyton, like playing sports and stuff like that, you got some friends who play soccer and baseball, which is sports he's playing right now. And he's got several friends that tried out for like the club team. They're going to travel and, do the whole thing. He's got a couple of his friends that are good. They're good players.
Yeah.
And so my wife, like, she hates that I say this, but she's, 2-time Hall of Famer, in, playing soccer, and she's very competitive.
I saw in the capital.
Competitive gymnast before that and all this stuff. So she, that was her world, was, sports. And she's like, how come Peyton doesn't want to be the best in this? It's not his thing. Like he doesn't want to be, you know what I mean? Like if it was like, I said, it's an internal driver. Like the reason that his friends are those there is because literally they live with a soccer ball at their feet all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and those kids are the ones that like, they just naturally want it. I said, it's the baseball. I said, it doesn't mean that he doesn't enjoy playing. But it does mean, and we've had this conversation, like me and Peyton have had this conversation. I said, do you really want to be the best in this? Because in order to do that, it's going to require the same thing, right? It's going to require this of you, not this of you. And if you don't, that's okay. Right? Like whatever the arena is like, because in the same way, for Peyton anyway, he'll get up on a Saturday morning before anybody else and get up at 6 a.m. on not a school day, and he gets graph paper and he starts designing and engineering things.
Sweet.
Okay. Right.
So he's got a bend.
Right. Yeah. But, well, that's what I was saying. And I was telling Anna, I was like, okay, well, that's right. Exactly. That's how he's bent. And so instead of like trying to force him into like being great here, like you can't do everything, right? Nobody can do everything. Maybe Elon Musk, but other than that, nobody else can do everything. And so, so once like with that, like, man, okay, then do that, right? And get great at that thing. And so I don't know. I imagine you see that with kids that play football too, because their dad or grandpa or somebody wants them to play.
Yeah.
But they don't have the drive and the determination or the ability to. I mean, there's that too. Peyton is actually athletically, he's actually pretty gifted, but he doesn't apply himself.
Yeah. His bend is somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't. I get it. No, that's my youngest son too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's same. Like my wife and I had this conversation when we were in the car yesterday. We're just like, yeah, just receive. Like the thing with my youngest, he's like, he'll be where he needs to be and he'll do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But you know, if you want to see the field and you got juniors who are still JV and like you got competition, like
Yeah.
you have to stand out. And
Right.
how you stand out is maybe it's not the size, maybe it's not the strength, maybe it's like knowing what your plays are. You know what I mean? Like I can't trust someone out there if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If somebody's doesn't have those two things, but know what they're doing, and I could be in a position where they can just, I'd rather have that person out there for sure. And then and what's great about that is if you can know that, those other two things will come. Like maybe not, maybe those two won't necessarily show up, but at least you are experiencing and you're in the opportunity where those two things can like inspire you and activate you to get better in those things.
But it has to be like like an internal desire driver. There's internal and external motivators. External motivators are coach yelling at you. But it's the internal motivator, like those are the ones, that's the Rudy movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like the internal motivator inside this kid's like, okay, well, he's not quitting, so I'm not going to give up on him. I want to keep working with him. Versus like, yeah, right. Kind of showing up. I think that's probably it with my company too. Like the employees are just kind of like, well, it's like, okay, I need you to want to be here. You know, I need you to show me you have some desire. Doesn't mean that this is like your life and like, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I'm swinging a hammer. Like, it's not that, right? Like, but it's, do you actually want to be here? Like when going back to the firing conversation, that's typically the conversation that we have. I call it the strike zero. But that's typically the conversation I have where it's like, do you want to be here? Yeah, I want to be here. It's like, okay, well, here's the things that I'm seeing. And those things are showing me that you don't really want to be here. And take this right, like as a friend, like that's okay. I tell people all the time in different positions, like when I was, manager. So you're really, really tracking this. I would suck at your job because I do not want to do your job. Right. And it's kind of funny because they're kind of like, oh, you would suck at this job. I was like, yeah, because I don't have a desire to do it. Right. Doesn't mean it's a bad job. Doesn't mean, right. But I'm looking for people that actually do want to be doing that job. Right. Because there are people out there. And so if you find those people, right, you pair that, the desire, right, the intrinsic motivator in with the ability, like you said, some have ability, you don't. And then the attitude, it's like, man, okay, those people, like, take those guys to the moon. That's the person that you want, right? That's the trifecta. Right. And so, but unfortunately in companies anyway, is they hire people and they just throw bodies at it. And by doing that, you're sucking up time, resources, and energy for the people that could be great.
Yeah.
Right. And so hire slow, right? Fire faster, hire slow.
Much easier. What is it? The quote, much easier to run with one than the drag. Right. Yeah. That can really bog things down in a business or like in a school, right? When we're talking about like school stuff, we have a teacher that, I'm glad that she's on the bus, but at the same time, gosh, there's just some things that need to be tightened up. Wow. I'll just say it, like classroom management.
Yeah.
You can have the best educational plan, the best environment, but if you don't know how to manage personalities and relationships in your classroom and how to set that dynamic up to where you're the teacher and you're the student, right?
Right.
Like, I would say the majority of our like write-ups were from that class.
Wow.
And we've gotten help, I've had to come in the class a few times. I've chatted with this person, and what I see is there's a, how do I explain this? There's like there's a desire to take our advice and do it, but I don't know if there's another layer underneath of understanding why we do why we're asking you to do this and what you're looking for to grow from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just we're just doing the motion, whether it's everybody outside and we're gonna restart the class over. That's like one of the strategies that, one of our mentor teachers have taught me, right? Just to kind of reset the whole day.
Yeah.
But they come back in riled up and still, I mean, that could be the whole class period. And honestly, I would do this. If I can't get control of it doesn't matter what I'm going to teach you.
Yeah.
If the class is not bought in.
Yeah.
To who I am as a teacher and what I'm going to teach you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that too. Like when you're talking about right people in the right seats and like you're also evaluating too, like you're saying, like, this skill, if you don't learn this skill, this is going to be a very hard job for you.
Yes.
And not only for you, everybody. Like, I have to close my door or something, and I hate closing my door, but I can't do it when, like, you're here. Yeah, right. You're hearing a circus out there.
Yeah.
Just think about it. It's almost like, you know how YouTube has those comments on the bottom?
Yeah.
But they're just words. This one, like, actual audible loudness. Like, everybody is commenting whenever they want to. There has to be a sense of order in the class, right? Like, how we're going to do this. Raising your hand, or I point to you, like.
So this is the thing. This is the initial question. So when I do the culture check tool, and the thing I ask is ability, desire, and capacity. So the ability is like, do you actually have the ability to do the thing, whatever the thing is? The desire, right? Do you want to be? And then the capacity. Am I asking you to do this much work, but you're only able to do this much work, right? That's a different conversation. Usually that usually comes into play if people are moving up in position by a different role, or a major life event happens, death of, a loved one, a divorce, something like that, right? That rocks you. And then your capacity was here, but now just life has diminished your capacity. Yeah. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, okay, we got to be honest with it. But with this one, like you teach, I'm curious about. So isn't it an ability thing because it's a skill set, or is it like a desire? Because it goes back to, like you're saying, the why. Because I can go through the motions. Like, you can tell me, like, okay, everybody, we are going to restart the class now. Walk into the hall or the gym or somewhere, and then be like, okay, we're now going back in. Or is it like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a desire, like, okay, no, I really want to figure this thing out.
See, that's the hard part about it, because I think the desire is there. It's there's something that's not connecting. Yeah. Because the kid, like, the students enjoy her presence.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way she sees it. But I see it as, these kids can walk all over you. These kids run.
Is she kind of like naive to that?
I don't, sometimes I feel like it, like she's naive to it, but, and the reason why I say that is because I could walk into the class and the class changes. Right? Just my presence of, and whenever I walk into class, there's a level of wanting to edify the teacher, but, and also help them kind of manage the class a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I said, there's been a lot of resources that have been directed her way, and it's the write-ups, had kids wrestling in the class.
Yeah.
Like WWE. like, what's going on in here? Right. And there's kids that have vaped in their class.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what is going on? Like, is there an awareness that that we haven't pointed out to you yet?
Yeah.
Or like, what is it? Right. Because the desire is there, because she reaches out and asks for help. Now it's like, can you expand your skill set? Right? It is the help. It's kind of like astrogenesis. Like when you come into a therapist and you come to the point where like, I don't know if I'm helping you.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's actually what starts to happen in my head. Like, am I undercutting what I'm telling her to do? You know what I mean? Like her every time I rescue, like what's the lie? Like, what's the lie? Where are we at? So, I think it got to the point too where, I think the administrators were really doubtful that it was going to continue. Right. And so there was a lot of convincing on like, certain people's parts that, give them another chance. And again,
Yeah.
lesson plans are all ready to go and she's enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
But the kids are not.
Yeah.
And I think because there's a dynamic that has been set.
Yeah.
That we're in charge of this class, not you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Throwing all that out at you because I'm like interested to see, because I'm in it. And I need someone from the outside. What do you think about this?
Yeah, that's fair. My thought is, how long has she been teaching that?
It was here.
Okay. All right. Has anybody so here's the thing that I see in companies, and I'm sure you see it all the time in therapy, is that people are scared of having a hard conversation. Yeah. One of my favorite books is Radical Candor by Kim Scott. Very good. She's an exec in Silicon Valley and had to have a lot of hard conversations. But the idea is that like, because it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard to have hard conversations. And so has anybody had the hard conversation with her? I'd just like to, I don't know if you're cut out for this.
I think so. We have a teacher mentor, but I don't know what their conversations are. I hope that would be one of the things that they would say.
But that is a hard thing because wait, I just went to college for this. The college gave me a degree. They said I'm good at this.
Right.
But the reality is, and unfortunately, I think it's a whole, you don't go down that a little bit and how I don't think it's what's cracked out to be, but I say it in the workplace all the time. But it's like, okay, no. Well, then here's the thing. So like, if this was a company, here's the steps we would have done. Step 0 is always that like, man, like, do you want to be here? Yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
I just said, okay, sounds like you're not cut out for this, or you don't have the skill set, things, get it, renew, first year teacher. Okay. We're going to set you up with a mentor. We're going to set you up with, here's Ray, he can help you, whatever. Okay. That would be the step 0 conversation. But you also are saying, here's the expectations. Like, we can't have this happen, whatever this is. Like, we can't have the classroom getting out of hand. We can't have like whatever those things are, right? It's the same thing you do when you're talking about like you go into a classroom, like, hey, we've got 2 choices. Like choice A is we're gonna have a great time. Choice B is like, you're going to decide this is going to suck. So and then the strike 1 conversation is it happened again. And then you say, okay, hey, this has happened again. I'm going to shoot you an email. Those are things we need to see. And you shoot back. Okay. And then you get into strike 2 conversation. The strike 2 conversation where we call it performance improvement plan, where it's, these are the things that happen. Here's the disruptions. Here's the bullet points. And here's the things that we actually need to see. We cannot have this. We cannot have this. And the hard part with the performance improvement plan is you got to hold people's feet to the fire. Right. You as the manager, you have to hold your own feet to the fire to do it. Because when somebody gets on a PIP or a performance improvement plan, they're on it for 6 months. And if any time in those 6 months of one of those bullet points, where you said this can't happen or this will have to happen, is triggered, you got to let them go.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One is because you said you were going to. Yeah. And then number two, so that people know that it's fair, right? And they know that, which is why I think when, Dayton asked, I say, yeah, everybody gives me a hug. It's not that they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I built a relationship, did everything I could to like help this person along. But sometimes it's just like, man, this is just not for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not junior high. Junior high is tough. Like try kindergarten. You know what I mean?
That's kind of
like, that's really, that goes back to the right seat thing. It might not be that. It might just be, yeah, go ahead with kindergarten.
That's fun. That's my thought. This middle school is a little more complex.
Dude, and middle school's complex. Yeah. Bishops.
It is. Yeah, maybe it's a different fit, in a different grade. But when the mentor came in and talked with me about it, I gave her kind of all this. There's just something that's not clicking. I don't know whether it's like there's this need to be a buddy.
Yeah,
and you can't like.
There's not yet there.
Yeah, there's a way to build a relationship like that to where there's still respect.
Yes,
and that's the part where the authority part is not.
Dude, that's totally like the John Maxwell 5 levels of leadership, right? Like level 1, we got a position, do what I say. Level 2 is like a relationship, but then if you're stuck there, like if you're just stuck at that relationship, well then people will not respect the position. They don't respect what you've done. Because if you don't have, the third level is productivity. If you're not showing me you've actually done something, then it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Then you become a lid.
Yeah. Big.
Yeah. And for that, when you're part of a school community, not only are you lit for your students, right, but you're also lit for the rest of the staff, right? Staff have to pick up, like the tasks of having to serve detentions for kids and when kids transition from that class to the next one, having to manage the behavior to be like, okay, we're in a different class.
Yeah.
So man, that's a tough thing to do. But I know, again, in the context of the question that we asked, to do it anyways, it still needs to get done.
Okay.
Fortunately for this teacher, there was people that saw the potential that I didn't see, at least for this grade level.
Right.
Hopefully there's some things in place that administrators, which I know they did, that's in place that says, we need to see certain loans from the influence. It's just not. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and hopefully she steps into that, right? Hopefully she steps in these are the things I want to do that I don't want to do. Could do that too, right? It's easier to go default instead of setting the intention. Like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think that's going to be good. That's the differentiator.